Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and curious explorers, welcome. Now I know what you're thinking. What magical far-flung corner of the globe are we jetting off to today? Well, buckle up, because we're heading to a place that's more than just a destination. It's a time machine, a dance floor, and a political science lecture, all rolled into one. We are embarking on an epic journey to discover the heart and soul of Cuba. An island that's as complex as it is captivating. Forget everything you think you know, because the reality is so much more interesting. Cuba isn't just about cigars and old cars, though don't worry, we'll get to those. It's an island pulsating with a rhythm all its own. A place where every crumbling colonial facade tells a story of revolution, resilience, and romance. Its rich history is a tapestry woven with threads of Spanish conquerors, African slaves, and revolutionary heroes. The landscapes? They range from pristine sugar-white beaches that look like a screensaver come to life, to lush, mountainous jungles hiding rare and wonderful creatures. And the culture is a vibrant cocktail of music, art, and passion that will get under your skin in the best way possible. So, I invite you to do what you do best. Sit back, relax, maybe grab a mojito if it's that time of day. I'm not judging. Prepare to have your minds blown, your perspectives shifted, and your wanderlust cranked up to 11 as we delve into 20 incredible, mind-blowing facts about the one and only Cuba. This isn't just a list. It's a love letter to an island that continues to fascinate and confound the world. Let's get into it, too. Alright, let's kick things off with a little geography lesson, but I promise it won't be boring. Fact number 1. Cuba is the largest island in the Caribbean. Now, when you hear Caribbean island, you might picture a tiny little speck of sand with one palm tree. But Cuba? Oh no. Cuba is the big boss, the heavyweight champion of the Antilles. It's so big, it contains not just one, but several archipelagos and thousands of smaller islands and cays. Think of it less as an island, and more as a mini-continent that just happens to be surrounded by ridiculously blue water. This sheer size is what makes Cuba so incredibly diverse. You've got sprawling mountain ranges like the Sierra Maestra, which were rugged enough to hide revolutionaries. You have vast swampy wetlands that are a paradise for wildlife. And of course, over 3,500 miles of coastline with some of the most stunning beaches on the planet. This isn't a one-note destination. It's a symphony. This vastness is the canvas on which its multifaceted culture was painted, allowing different regions to develop their own unique flavors, traditions, and even accents. It's a whole world waiting to be explored. Now, an island this beautiful needs a nickname, right? You can't just call it the big one, and Cuba has one of the best. Fact number 2, it's affectionately known as the Pearl of the Caribbean. This isn't some modern marketing slogan cooked up by a tourism board. This name goes way back, and it perfectly captures the essence of the island. Think about a pearl. It's beautiful, it's valuable, it's formed over time through pressure and irritation, and it has an iridescent glow. That is Cuba in a nutshell. The pearl refers not just to its physical beauty, the shimmering beaches and turquoise waters, but also to its immense cultural richness. It's about the value of its history, the luster of its music and art, and the precious nature of its people's spirit. When Christopher Columbus first laid eyes on it, he reportedly said it was the most beautiful land human eyes have ever seen. He might have been a problematic guest, to put it mildly, but on this point, he wasn't wrong. The nickname is a testament to the island's enduring allure, a jewel shining brightly in the Caribbean Sea. You can't understand Cuba without understanding its fight. Fact number 3. Cuba has a rich and turbulent history of independence and revolution. This isn't a country that had freedom handed to it on a silver platter. Every inch of its sovereignty was fought for, bled for, and fiercely protected. For centuries, it was a prized Spanish colony, a hub for sugar and tobacco, built on the backs of slaves. But the desire for freedom simmered, leading to multiple wars of independence in the 19th century with heroes like José Martí, who is still revered as a national icon. This spirit of defiance didn't end with the Spanish. It set the stage for one of the most defining events of the 20th century, the Cuban Revolution. In 1959, Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, and their band of rebels marched into Havana, toppling the US-backed dictator Fulgencio Batista. This revolution wasn't just a change of government. It was a seismic shift that ripped up the old social order and redrew Cuba's relationship with the entire world, especially its giant neighbor to the north. This revolutionary identity is baked into the Cuban psyche. It's in their art, their music, and their unwavering national pride. Okay, let's talk about the cars, because you can't talk about Cuba without talking about the cars. Fact number 4. Cuba is a rolling museum of iconic vintage American cars. When you step onto a street in Havana, it's like you've walked through a time portal straight back to the 1950s. You'll see gleaming 1957 Chevy Bel Airs, majestic Cadillac Eldorados, and sturdy Ford Fairlanes, all cruising down the road in every color of the rainbow. It's one of the most surreal and beautiful sights you'll ever see. But why are they there? Well, it's a direct result of history. After the 1959 revolution, the US imposed a trade embargo, which meant, among many other things, no more new American cars could be imported. So, Cubans had to get creative. They became master mechanics out of necessity, keeping these half-century-old beasts alive with ingenuity, Soviet-era spare parts, and a whole lot of love. These cars, known as almendrones, aren't just transportation. They're symbols of Cuban resilience, family heirlooms passed down through generations, and a stunning, chrome-plated middle finger to the embargo. From classic cars to classic literature, fact number 5 is something that might genuinely surprise you. Cuba has one of the highest literacy rates in the world. We're talking about a rate that consistently hovers around 99.8%. That's higher than the United States, higher than most of Europe. It's an absolutely staggering achievement, especially for a developing nation. So, how did they pull this off? It all goes back to the revolution and one of its earliest, most ambitious projects. In 1961, Fidel Castro declared it the Year of Education and launched the Cuban Literacy Campaign. They mobilized over 250,000 volunteers, many of them just teenagers, and sent them out into the most remote rural areas to teach everyone, from farm workers to elderly grandmothers, how to read and write. In just 1 year, they taught over 700,000 people. It was a monumental effort that fundamentally transformed the country. This legacy endures today in a deep-seated cultural respect for education and knowledge, proving that a revolution can be fought not just with guns, but with books. Let's zoom in from the big picture to something incredibly tiny, but no less amazing. Fact number 6. Cuba is home to the world's smallest bird, the bee hummingbird. And when I say small, I mean like this little guy, or zunzunchito as it's known locally, is barely 2 inches long and weighs less than a dime. It's so tiny that it's often mistaken for, you guessed it, a bee. Its wings beat so fast, up to 80 times per second, that they're just a blur to the human eye. Finding one of these iridescent marvels flitting among the flowers is a magical experience. But the bee hummingbird is more than just a cute little factoid. It's a powerful symbol of Cuba's incredible biodiversity. The island's unique ecosystems, isolated for millennia, have allowed for the evolution of countless species found nowhere else on Earth. The zunzuncito represents the delicate, precious, and unique nature of Cuba's environment. It's a tiny, shimmering reminder that some of the world's biggest wonders come in the smallest packages. We've talked about Cuba's natural and cultural treasures, and it turns out the rest of the world agrees. Fact number 7. Cuba is home to a whopping 9 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. That's an incredible number for one island nation. These aren't just pretty places. UNESCO designates sites that have outstanding universal value to all of humanity. It's like the planet's official list of must-see, must-protect places, and Cuba is all over it. This recognition puts Cuba in the same league as countries like Egypt, Italy, and China in terms of cultural significance. The list is as diverse as Cuba itself. You have the entire historic center of Old Havana, a living museum of Baroque and neoclassical architecture. There's the stunning Vinales Valley, where limestone mountains rise dramatically from the tobacco fields. You have the colonial city of Trinidad, a perfectly preserved Spanish settlement, and the archaeological landscape of the first coffee plantations in the southeast. Each site tells a different chapter of the Cuban story, from its colonial past to its agricultural soul, preserving this legacy for generations to come. If Cuba had a heartbeat, it would be a clave rhythm. Fact number 8. The music and dance culture is not just a part of life in Cuba, it's life. The island is a wellspring of musical innovation that has influenced the entire world. Genres like son cubano, the grandfather of salsa, mambo and cha-cha-cha were all born here. It's a sound forged from a blend of Spanish guitar and African drumming, a fusion that created something entirely new and utterly infectious. You can't escape it, and honestly, you wouldn't want to. The music spills out of doorways, pours from the windows of vintage cars, and brings public squares to life every single night. From the legendary Buena Vista Social Club, which reintroduced the world to the golden age of Cuban music, to the electrifying rumba sessions in the streets of Matanzas, the island moves to its own beat. And the dancing, salsa, rumba, casino, it's not a performance for tourists. It's a social language, a form of expression, joy, and connection that is as natural as breathing for Cubans of all ages. You knew this one was coming. Fact number 9. Cuban cigars are legendary, and for good reason. They are, without a doubt, the most famous and sought-after cigars on the planet. The word Havana is synonymous with luxury, quality, and a certain kind of old-world cool. For cigar aficionados, smoking a true Cuban, like a Cohiba or a Montecristo, is a quasi-religious experience. It's not just about the smoke. It's about the status, the history, and the craftsmanship. What makes them so special? It's a combination of factors that connoisseurs call terroir. The unique soil and climate of the Vuelta Abajo region in Pinar del Rio are considered the best in the world for growing tobacco. Add to that centuries of accumulated knowledge in cultivating, curing, fermenting, and rolling the leaves. The process is an art form, passed down through generations. The torcidors or cigar rollers are highly skilled artisans. A Cuban cigar is more than a product. It's a cultural icon, a symbol of Cuban identity as potent as its rum or its revolutionary heroes. Let's talk about the people who are the true soul of the island. Fact number 10. The women of Cuba are renowned for their beauty, charisma, and undeniable strength. Now, this isn't just about physical appearance. Although the island's incredible ethnic mix of Spanish, African, and indigenous heritage has resulted in a stunning diversity of looks. It's about a deeper beauty that radiates from within, a confidence, a warmth, and a resilience that is forged in the crucible of Cuban life. They are the backbone of their families and their communities. Cuban women, or Cubanas, possess a powerful sense of self and cultural pride. They are highly educated, thanks to the system we talked about earlier, and hold prominent roles in all sectors of society, from doctors and scientists to artists and entrepreneurs. They navigate the daily challenges of life in Cuba with a grace and grit that is truly inspiring. The beauty of Cuban women is found in their laughter that echoes through the streets, their command of the dance floor, and their fierce dedication to their heritage and their families. They are not just beautiful, they are formidable. Okay, let's wade into some complicated waters. Fact number 11. Cuba has a unique and deeply entrenched political situation. It is one of the world's last remaining socialist states run by a communist party. This isn't just a political label, it's a system that fundamentally shapes every single aspect of daily life, from the economy and the media to where people work and what they can buy. After the revolution, the government nationalized all industries and private property, creating a centrally planned economy. This system has had profound effects, creating a society of paradoxes. On one hand, it led to the universal healthcare and education we've discussed. On the other, it has resulted in widespread economic hardship, scarcity of goods, and limited personal freedoms. The state controls the media, and political dissent is not tolerated. Understanding Cuba means grappling with this central contradiction, a system that provides a strong social safety net for its people, while simultaneously restricting their economic and political opportunities. It's the complex reality Cubans navigate every day. You can't discuss Cuba's political system without talking about the man who defined it for half a century. Fact number 12. The legacy of Fidel Castro is monumental and incredibly complex. For nearly 50 years, he was Cuba. His image, his words, and his ideologies were inescapable. To some, he was a revolutionary hero, a David who stood up to the American Goliath, championed the poor, and gave Cuba its dignity and independence back. They point to the achievements in literacy and healthcare as his undeniable triumphs. To others, he was a ruthless dictator who crushed all opposition, jailed dissidents, and drove the economy into the ground, forcing hundreds of thousands to flee their homeland. They see a legacy of oppression and lost potential. The truth, as it often is messy and lies somewhere in the middle, depending heavily on who you ask. His death in 2016 marked the symbolic end of an era, but his impact, both good and bad, is etched so deeply into the fabric of Cuba that it will continue to shape the nation's destiny for decades to come. In a country known for its economic struggles, this next fact is one of its most celebrated paradoxes. Fact number 13. Cuba has an impressive and internationally respected healthcare system. It's a system built on two core principles. Healthcare is a human right, and it should be completely free for everyone. From a simple checkup to complex heart surgery, Cubans pay nothing. The emphasis is on prevention, with a vast network of neighborhood clinics and family doctors who know their patients personally. This commitment has led to some incredible outcomes. Cuba has a lower infant mortality rate and a higher life expectancy than the United States. But it doesn't stop at their borders. Cuba practices what's called medical internationalism, sending tens of thousands of doctors and nurses abroad on medical missions to developing nations and disaster zones. They've been on the front lines of fighting Ebola in West Africa and providing aid after earthquakes in Haiti. It's a form of soft power diplomacy that has earned Cuba immense goodwill around the globe. After all that heavy talk of politics and history, let's get back to the beach. Because, my friends, the beaches are spectacular. Fact number 14. Cuba is famous for its breathtakingly beautiful beaches. We're talking miles upon miles of powdery white sand and water that's so clear and so many shades of blue and turquoise, it looks like it's been photoshopped. This isn't an exaggeration. They are consistently ranked among the best beaches in the entire world. The most famous is Varadero, a 12-mile-long peninsula that is pure postcard perfection, lined with resorts and all-inclusives. But the magic of Cuba is that there are countless other more secluded spots. You have places like Playa Pilar, supposedly Ernest Hemingway's favorite, with its giant sand dunes, or the pristine untouched beaches of the Cayos, like Cayo Coco and Cayo Largo. Whether you're looking for a vibrant resort scene or a deserted stretch of sand to call your own, Cuba's coastline is a slice of Caribbean heaven. Walking through a Cuban city is like walking through an architectural time capsule. Fact number 15. Cuba boasts a unique and eclectic blend of architectural styles. It's a visual feast where centuries of history are layered on top of each other, often on the very same street. The Spanish colonial period left behind magnificent Baroque cathedrals, grand plazas, and houses with beautiful courtyards and intricate ironwork, especially in Old Havana and Trinidad. It's a direct link to the island's colonial past. But then, in the early 20th century, a wave of wealth brought stunning Art Nouveau, Art Deco, and modernist buildings, especially in Havana's Vedado neighborhood. You can see majestic crumbling mansions that hint at a bygone era of immense opulence. The tragedy and the beauty is that due to the economic situation, many of these architectural gems have fallen into disrepair. Yet this elegant decay gives Cuban cities a hauntingly beautiful character, and major preservation efforts, particularly by the Office of the City Historian in Havana, are working tirelessly to save this irreplaceable heritage. The creativity of the Cuban people cannot be contained. Fact number 16. Cuba has an incredibly vibrant and thriving art scene. In a country with, limited avenues for expression, art has become a powerful and essential voice. Cuban artists are known for their bold use of color, their surrealist imagery, and their sharp, often witty, social and political commentary. They use their work to explore themes of identity, isolation, history, and daily life, with a depth and passion that is just honestly palpable. You can see this creativity everywhere. From the high-end galleries in Havana to the sprawling, whimsical street art project of Fusterlandia, a whole neighborhood turned into a mosaic masterpiece. Art is woven into the fabric of the country. There's also the famous Callejón de Hamel, an alleyway pulsating with colorful murals and sculptures dedicated to Afro-Cuban culture. The state supports the arts through education, but many artists also operate independently, their work highly sought after by international collectors. It's a scene that is dynamic, resilient, and utterly captivating. Now for a fact that is truly out of this world. Fact number 17. Cuba has participated in space exploration. Yes, you heard that right. The island nation, more famous for classic cars than rocket ships, has a place in the history of the cosmos. This was made possible through the Soviet Union's Intercosmos program, which invited allied socialist nations to participate in their space missions. And in 1980, Cuba got its turn. Arnaldo Tamayo Mendez, a pilot in the Cuban Air Force, was selected for the program. On September 18, 1980, he launched aboard the Soyuz 38 spacecraft and spent nearly 8 days in orbit, docking with the Salyut 6 space station. This made him the first person from a country in the Western Hemisphere other than the United States to go to space, and the first person of African descent in space. He became a national hero overnight, a powerful symbol of Cuban achievement on the world and off-world stage. From the heights of space exploration to the brink of nuclear annihilation. Fact number 18. Cuba was the geographical centerpiece of the Cuban Missile Crisis, one of the most dangerous moments in human history. In October 1962, the world held its breath for 13 days as the United States and the Soviet Union faced off over the placement of Soviet nuclear missiles on Cuban soil, just 90 miles from Florida. For Fidel Castro, accepting the missiles was a way to deter another U.S. invasion after the failed Bay of Pigs attempt. For the Soviets, it was a strategic move to counter U.S. missiles in Turkey. For the U.S., it was an unacceptable threat right on its doorstep. The resulting standoff was a terrifying game of nuclear chicken that brought humanity closer to atomic war than ever before or since. The crisis was eventually de-escalated through tense back-channel negotiations, but it cemented Cuba's position as a major flashpoint in the Cold War and forever changed the dynamics of international relations. Let's come back down to earth, literally. Fact number 19. Cuba has vibrant and unique farming traditions. Agriculture has always been the backbone of the Cuban economy, from the colonial sugar plantations to the world-famous tobacco fields. But after the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 1990s, Cuba lost its main supplier of fuel, pesticides, and fertilizers. This crisis, known as the Special Period, forced the country to adapt in incredible ways. Out of necessity, Cuba became a world leader in organic and sustainable agriculture. Without chemical inputs, farmers rediscovered traditional low-tech methods. This led to the rise of organoponicos, urban organic gardens that sprang up in empty lots across cities like Havana, providing fresh produce directly to communities. While the large-scale state farms still focus on sugarcane and tobacco, this grassroots movement towards sustainable local farming is a powerful story of resilience and innovation born from hardship, a green revolution alongside the political one. So, where does all this history, culture, and complexity leave Cuba today? Our final fact, number 20, is about its future. Cuba is a nation of hope and transformation, standing at a critical crossroads. The old guard of the revolution is fading, and a new generation of Cubans, connected to the world through the slow but growing internet, is yearning for change and greater economic opportunity. The country is slowly, cautiously, opening up. You can feel this tension and excitement in the air. The rise of private businesses, small restaurants called paladares, bed and breakfasts called casas particulares, and other entrepreneurial ventures is changing the economic landscape. Yet, the challenges remain immense. The U.S. embargo is still in place, the state bureaucracy is slow to change, and shortages are a part of daily life. But the spirit of the Cuban people, their incredible resilience, creativity, and optimism in the face of adversity remains the island's greatest asset. The next chapter in Cuba's story is being written right now, and the whole world is watching. And there you have it, 20 facts that only scratch the surface of this incredible island. As we've seen, Cuba is a land of breathtaking contrasts, a place where history isn't just in the past. It's alive and walking down the street in the chassis of a '57 Chevy. It's where the grandeur of colonial architecture meets the elegant decay of time, and where the socialist ideals of the revolution coexist with the burgeoning spirit of private enterprise. It's a place that defies easy labels and rewards the curious traveler with layers upon layers of meaning. More than the cigars, the rum, or the beaches, what truly stays with you is the spirit of the Cuban people. Their warmth, their ingenuity, their unbreakable joy, and their fierce pride in their culture are the island's true treasures. They are a testament to the human ability to create beauty, music, and community in even the most challenging of circumstances. They are the heart and soul that make Cuba one of the most fascinating and moving places on earth. Thank you so much for joining me on this whirlwind tour. I hope it sparked your curiosity and encouraged you to look beyond the headlines to discover the rich, complex, and beautiful reality of this island nation for yourself. There is so much more to learn, to see, and to experience. Until our next adventure, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep an open heart. Hasta la vista, and may your adventures bring you as much joy as Cuba itself offers.